Hi there guys, welcome back to another episode of EXCL Garage. It's been a little while since our last episode. Welcome to 2022. So hopefully this year we can start getting a lot more momentum on this project. So as you can imagine, starting a new year, working once again on the GT86 here, which is going to be getting an LS swap, which is behind the camera there. Check out the previous videos if you want to see me taking that engine from what was essentially a dirty old core to a brand new rebuilt LS3. And in the last episode, you would have seen me take out the FA20 from the GT86 here. And moving forward, there's still going to be a lot of hurdles when it comes to putting the LS in here. Things like buying the gearbox and so on, which are still yet to purchase. But I want to start cracking on cleaning up this engine bay. Potentially, we're going to be painting it. I kind of want to start just taking bits out and see where we are really. So that's what we're going to be doing this episode. Just going to start removing things like fuel lines, a couple of brake lines need to move, some wiring, heat insulation stuff. Just really kind of getting into the nitty gritty of it and seeing where things stand from there. So let's just dive right into it. Right, so with quite the task ahead of me, I had to get cracking on. You almost don't really realise how much is actually in an engine bay until you start tackling your way through it, trying to get every single last component out of it. There is a strange sound or heat insulation in the gearbox tunnel. I'm going to have to replace this eventually with something else. Probably some kind of self-adhesive heat and sound insulation like gold tape or some kind of a decent product that will go in here smoothly and do the trick without taking up too much room. And of course we just got little things like the radiator filler neck. Gonna hang on to this, hopefully I can reuse this. It's quite a nice little piece, just need to smile it up a little bit. You know, there's plenty of sensors for the alarm, there's the fuse box itself, there's wiring, there's connectors, cables, everything. The actual fuel lines themselves coming off, they're connected to this big shield thing. I can't imagine what it's for. There's no heat in this area with the original engine, being that the exhaust actually went the other side, so not entirely sure what that's for. But got that off, had a little bit of fuel going everywhere, but it's no big deal at the end of the day. And I eventually ended up pulling these out together, and all I'll be doing is running one long new AN line from the fuel tank to the fuel rail. Bit of a weird situation where essentially from the fuel tank one single line comes out and that then splits into two. One that then feeds the direct injection injectors and one that feeds the normal fuel injection injectors. Some people will tee these two back together and simply feed that into the fuel rail, but I just want to run one new line, make it easier in the long run, safer in a way. There's no longer 2 points of failure. And just generally cleaner and tidier. Had to undo this block for the two rear brake lines, and then eventually pull out the two lines that feed that. These get replaced from the sticky engine swap kit with a couple of braided lines. Just allows for nicer routing away from the exhaust and so on. So these can just go essentially in the bin. And then eventually you'll see me undo this block, and one day it will be relocated, probably down to the subframe or such, just with a self-tapping screw or a riv nut. Again, just to keep this away from the heat source of the exhaust really. And of course with a new gearbox, new slave cylinder, and with the room constraints, the clutch master cylinder here has to go, and at some point I'm going to have to come up with a solution for this. It's going to be a bit of a tricky one. This is probably one of the biggest hurdles, biggest unknowns really facing me. Being right-hand drive, there's only a handful of right-hand drive LS swap GT86 chassis in the world really. Of course all of those generally reside in Australia, so I have to speak to a few of the Aussie guys out there, see what they've done to get around this. But for now, the current one has to come out. So here it goes. So moving on, really, just back at it again with a friend, cracking through as much as possible, loosening off all the wiring, getting it into a position where we could bundle it all together and tape it off nicely. I'm probably not going to remove the harness altogether, just due to the difficulty of it, really. So I'm trying to avoid that as best I can. After that, we just wanted to get the whole brake system out. Everything from the brake booster, the brake master cylinder, around to the ABS module, all the lines. We wanted to get that out all in one go. Because I'm going to be retaining all of this, I did originally consider deleting the brake booster, but a lot of the solutions that are currently on the market for that also require you to get rid of the ABS and run a bias valve and so on. It's quite a bit of money and hassle. So for now, I'm just going to retain the brake booster and master cylinder, keep those as they are, and perhaps revisit it at a later date in the future. There were a few other jobs that we got round to, but everything just takes twice as long when you're trying to film it. So we'll get on to that next. Right, so here we go. Here's a little update for you. As you can see, the engine bay's, I would say clearer, but hardly, it's just messier, let's face it. We've got all the wiring kind of loose now. This is about as loose as it can get, unfortunately, because, well, as you can see, wiring comes out that side, goes up and down and round, and then it joins into this branch, and then back into the other side. So there's no real splitting this harness. I'd have to pull it all out. I'm not sure I'm prepared to do that. Plus, I think I've decided what color I'm going to go with the engine bay now. I think I'm going to go for a neutral kind of anthracite, either a matte or satin, maybe gloss finish. Just, yeah, anthracite all around. And I'll probably go spray that myself, borrow a paint gun and compressor and just do that myself. See what it turns out, really. So it could be a mess, but at least it'll all be one color. And half the reason for doing that is just cost, obviously. Be cheaper than getting the future body color painted in the engine bay. Also, it doesn't lock me into that body color if a few years down the line decide that I'm not a fan of it anymore. And it's easier to touch up, it's easier to maintain, blah, 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 blah. There's plenty of reasons. Anyway, so I've got a few more steps before we get even close to touching the paint. I've got the fuel lines all out now. I've got this one last one you can see there, and that just disappears off to the back of the tank. That's an evaporation line. So I'm just gonna cut that back at the tank rather than drop the tank to pull that out. It's not needed for the LS, so I'm not gonna use it. Of course, I've got all the brake system out, everything from the booster and master cylinder, all the lines down here, all the lines up around there, all the lines down here, the ABS module, all of that's gone. It's just over there. I'm just going to pop it back in when I need to. Need to remove this wiper cowl. I want to get paint behind there as well, so it's all just nice in one colour. Probably replace these bonnet hinges with some black ones or something. Yeah, still got a few things ahead of me. Another job down here is need to remove that gearbox tunnel brace, as you can see. So I think we'll start cracking all that. Let's get down there, get a drill, start hammering away at it. I'm sure it'll be a quick job.
3 hours later.
Right, so here we go, the halfway check-in. So I've got the engine bay a little bit more clear now. Got the wiper cowl out and all the wiper motor, all of that up there. Just, I'm probably gonna spritz some paint down in there, just because otherwise you see it through a bit of a grill and, cover every bit of red I can. Wiring harness is a lot more loose now, as you can see. The half's up there, the half's dangling down over here. And started getting the transmission tunnel brace out. So you might be able to see it there. One side's off, very, very much just hanging in there. And it's just down that side there I have to do next. So probably another few more hours doing that. Grind it all down, need to put some paint in it so it doesn't rust. And I've got a few more bits to do. I'm going to be removing the original strut brace mounts here, these two here, and here. Just why not? Going to grind those down. I'm not trying to do like an old 90s Civic engine bay where everything's super smooth. Not going to do any body filler or anything, but may as well try my best to make it a bit tidy. And yeah, there's no more like big clips hanging out on the chassis rails anymore. Got these plugs, but I'm probably just going to paint over those. I mean, I'm not going to go out taking those out, it's just ridiculous. And really then just need to get all clean. You've got loads of leaves and crap and debris down here, and this side, plenty all along here. But yeah, that's it. It's been a lot of hard work just to even get to this point, but it's slowly getting there. Get those last few bits out and then I can start taping and bundling up all the wiring, getting that nicely in one place. Can start prepping it, start scuffing things up, perhaps laying down some etch primer if it needs it in areas, wiping things down, getting it all nice and grease and grime free. And we can start laying down some colour. All very exciting. Right, but I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. Like I said, I've still got a few more hours of work to do getting that brace out and those last few bits. So I think I'm just going to turn off the camera, crack on with that, get that out of the way. And at the beginning of the next episode, you'll see hopefully a slightly cleaner engine bay and perhaps some wires started to be taped up and pushed aside. And we can start talking about paint, start getting some wet stuff laid down, see what kind of abomination that turns into. Hopefully it's a half presentable job. But, I'm trying to do it on the cheap a little bit, but it's also fun just to do things yourself. So generally, if it turns out to be a bit of a hassle job, at least I only have myself to blame. I've not paid thousands of pounds for a paint shop to do it and then I'm disappointed with the results or anything. Just probably going to get the whole front end kind of painted in the one colour. And in that way, if down the line, a few years down the line, I manage to get the funds to do so and I want to get the whole car repainted, the paint shop doesn't have to do the front end. They can just do the things like the bumper, the wings, the bonnet, all separately, tape it off from the windscreen forward and just then paint the rest of the car. Hopefully that makes it easy for them down the line as well. But anyway, as I say, guys, this is it for this episode. So hope you enjoyed. Sorry it's been such a long delay. It's now the beginning of March and 2022 so far has just been absolutely hectic. Not been particularly fun either. So I've pretty much not had any time or motivation to come around here and actually work on the car. But hopefully with things going up from here, I might find myself around here a lot more often. So I'm quite looking forward to that. And hopefully I can bring you the next episode a hell of a lot sooner. But anyway, that's all for today, guys. Like always, if you did enjoy this episode, consider subscribing to the channel. Give the video a like, maybe drop a comment down below as to what you think about the choice of colour. Like I said, I'm going to be choosing anthracite, probably satin anthracite. Let me know what you might choose to paint the engine bay if you were in this position. But as always, hope you have a good one, guys. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye for now.